All right. Welcome, everybody. How are you all doing tonight? So, this evening we are going to be talking with Jan Roger Pettersen of Svartsinn. Um, can everybody hear me okay so far, hopefully? And we'll be introducing Jan here in just a second. Looks like we've already got a good bit of people in here tonight, so I greatly appreciate all of you guys for stopping by this evening. And I would highly recommend any of you guys dropping your questions for Jan into chat. Me and him will both be able to have a look at what you guys are saying. So anything you have to say to him, we can go ahead and get your questions answered here tonight, along with everything that I'll be talking to him about. So we will go ahead and introduce him into the stream here in just a second. Let me get him unmuted and fix my audio over here on this side. All right, we should be good now. How are you doing, Jan?
Hey, good evening, Michael, everybody. Nice to be here.
Can everybody hear him as well now? Hopefully.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Yeah, thanks everybody for stopping by tonight, and especially thank you very much, Jan, for coming on here and having a conversation with me today.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I We first met back in I guess it was 2015 at the Apex Fest up there in Philadelphia. So that
Oh
was
yeah.
pretty cool for me. I got to hang out with you and Airleaf, or I probably am saying his name wrong. I always get his name wrong, but yeah, that was a fun night for me getting to go up there and hang out with you guys. So this is actually now my second time getting to speak with you more or less in person, but it's been about 6 years. So
Yeah. Feels like it wasn't that
yeah, I
long
know it
ago, but
didn't feel
yeah.
that long ago to me either, but yeah, I mean that was 2015 and we're at 2021 now. So,
Crazy how time flies.
how have you been holding up in general so far through the pandemic?
Oh, not that bad. Life goes on as normal, more or less. I stay at home like I'm supposed to, and yeah, it's not that hard actually. Just you go out less, go to the town less, all that stuff. But I have my life is going on as normal. I go to the woods or you know doing what I do normally, except there's no gigs or any major gatherings to meet like-minded people. So I've been missing that a lot.
Yeah, I think people that sort of are a bit more introverted have it a lot better during this thing than people that are used to constantly going out to parties and things. But I know you have over the years put together a lot of musical festivals, and I know you personally do a lot of concerts yourself. So, are you? I assume you're looking forward to getting back to doing that kind of stuff again. Do you have anything that you're sort of planning on right now as far as putting together future concerts?
Yeah, I have actually last weekend I was talking to owner of a venue that I normally use here in town, and she was happy to tell me that I can choose dates for upcoming gigs and all that kind of stuff. So I'm planning the next Blåsvartaften. It's the kind of event that I do annually, once a year. So in November, hopefully I can do another one of those.
That's cool.
Not quite sure who will play it, but I have been talking to a couple of artists. So we'll see what happens.
Awesome. So tentatively, you're thinking something or somewhere around November right now. You're looking forward to putting another one together.
Yeah, around mid-November, around there somewhere.
Nice. Yeah.
So November is normally the month that I do it. So it's yeah, it should be good if everything goes as we hoped. I can get some bands from abroad, not in Norway. I have to have something more to choose from. Norwegian bands, we have used a lot of those, so it's
Yeah.
we need to pick someone else as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. So for people that might not be familiar with those concerts that you put together, do you want to talk a little bit about how those go for you? Because I haven't been to one myself, but I'm always interested. I'm always like following when you're putting them together and sort of help on my end as much as I can with promotion for it. But what are some of the highlighted bands that you've worked with over the years, and what are some of the cool venues that you've done?
Oh, venues. Let's take that first. I'm sort of, I tried a lot of the smaller venues in town. Almost all the venues that we had, I've been going around trying all of them that would let us rent it for free because, it's a small scene. It doesn't attract that many people. Maybe, everything from 35 to 60, depending on, what we have on the program and if there's any other concerts around at the same time, stuff like that. But the venue I've been using the last few years is a place called Good Omens, which is of course named after the books or whatever. I haven't seen it. I read it myself. There's also a TV series about Good Omens. Uh, I I've been using them quite a few years now, so it's perfect size for what we're doing. And yeah, they're really nice people, and it's easy to organize with them. So
Yeah, and that's
that's why
awesome that
I'm
they let you use the
choosing to
place
stay
for
with them.
free. That's real helpful.
Yeah, I mean, if I couldn't, then it would be impossible to bring artists from different countries. It's expensive with the flights and the hotels and all that. But I'm really lucky because I've been traveling a lot myself, and I have befriended a lot of artists, people who are on the same label or just in the scene. So you meet them and you offer them to stay in your place, and they more often they accept that. So it's just to have something happen in my hometown because it's not that big, and if there's something going on here, it's mainstream stuff mostly. So just started it to have something happen that I like to attend myself.
And what is your hometown?
It's Trondheim. It's in the middle of Norway,
Nice. And
not
you live right on
exactly
the
in the belt.
fjord, right?
Yeah, I'm watching the fjord right now. It's actually still possible to see outside, so it's nice.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty late there. I appreciate all of you
Yeah,
Europeans for coming out here this late to do this thing. It's only 4 p.m. for me, but I know it's like 10 o'clock for you guys, so it's pretty awesome.
yeah.
But
And you were talking about artists that we had on these events. So we had everything from Lamia Vox, Desideri Marginis, actually a couple of times. Uh, we had Beyond Sensory Experience, Sofia, Peter Berge solo, Christopher Usta. I don't know if you know him.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I don't know him
we had,
personally, but I love his music.
yeah, and we also had the local artists like Northant and Taphophobia, Avsky. Yeah, it's been quite a lot. Even Trepaneringsritualen have been here.
Yeah, that's awesome. Those are some huge names. I mean, that's pretty much a lot of the biggest names in the dark ambient scene. So yeah, you put together some good shows there, clearly.
Yeah, it's been nice. I've been privileged to have all these people come visit us here. So it's really nice. And I usually put this private party on the day before in my house here, do some cooking and drink some beers, take them to show them around town, and then we can focus on doing the whole gigs and music thing on the day after.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you aren't part of this upcoming Baltic Sea concert, are you? I don't think you're not going to be on that one, right? Or but are you
No, no,
are you going to be planning
I'm
to go on that for by chance?
no, I was on the first one, and I'm waiting for. I don't want to go on a boat right now in the pandemic situation and everything. So I'll wait for the second vaccine and all that stuff.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah, that's right. You guys don't have
I
the
guess
second
I'll
one
keep
yet.
keep keep. Yeah, I'll stay away from traveling this year, and hopefully I'll do twice as much next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, hopefully things will go back to normal next year. I was thinking that they'd be back to normal by now, but that's life.
Yeah, I see that the Waves of Darkness thing is happening. I think first weekend of September, and I see it's not cancelled or moved, so they're going forward with it. And yeah, it's just a little bit smaller. People have to sit down and all that, but I guess it's going to be a nice evening or event all the same. It's a lot of nice artists on board. So.
Yeah, it's a really nice lineup they have for sure. So, well, let's go ahead and talk about your music here a little bit then. So you've just recently put out the re-release of Traces of Nothingness. I thought maybe you'd like to talk a little bit about that album specifically, what that album means to you, sort of. Maybe if you want to look back at sort of where you were at the time that you wrote it, any interesting stories you might have about it.
Well, it's beginning to be quite a few years
Yeah.
now. Traces of Nothingness. Yeah, it's probably one of the hardest albums I've ever made. Um, it's a sort. You could see it as some sort of a trilogy, uh, and the end of a trilogy. And it was, during a lot of hard times back in those days. A lot of personal stuff that preferably don't want to talk too much about, but it was a really rough time, and this album was the sort of process about dealing with a lot of the things that I was putting behind me at the time, and also a lot of a really close friend of mine had some issues as well. So, which one of the songs on the album is sort of dedicated to in a way, and yeah, it was made quite quickly compared to whatever I do today. Like 5 years to make an album. It didn't really do that back then. It was made a lot faster. It's like it just came out of you. And thankfully, I had this kind of outlet for those kind of issues, so we can make music and just put it into music. And it went pretty quickly back then. I wish it could today as well, but I guess it's different kind of situation now. So you use a lot more time going through things.
Yeah, I think the more
But
the more that you know what you're looking for in your sound, the more, it's gonna take you time to get it exactly where you want it to be. Maybe, I mean, that's sort of what I think about it. When you're, younger and you're more like gung ho about things, and now you're looking at it and you really want to make sure. I mean, I think you got lucky that you did that quickly and it still ended up being great. But now like if I want to be positive that it's great, I really need to kind of wait and work with it and let it roll around in your head. Does that make sense?
yeah, and, but also at that point in time, you felt like shit more or less all the time, if you know what I mean. And nowadays, you have those kind of periods where we go into uh, the darker, deeper thoughts that you had back then. You had all the time, but now you have them less frequently. Luckily, I would say.
Yeah, for sure.
So I guess before I can just sit down and make music because you felt like it all the time. But now it goes like a period without the need to do it, and when you really need to do it, I sit down and then I manage to make something. And this is also a reason that I often say no to compilations that doesn't have like a personal interest, or if there's a theme that it's something I have a passion about, it's much easier. I can sit down and make music. back then it was a lot easier because I had material lying around all the
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so all right, so that makes it a little bit more clear for me. So you sort of like to write music when you're in a dark headspace. You kind of already need to be in that headspace and then you sit down to do the writing.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And it comes a lot easier that way. And if I need to kind of sometimes stuff comes to me, not doesn't have to be super personal heavy shit, but it can be inspirations coming from uh, things that happen around the world. Uh, like a lot of it came from the previous album, the Mörkrets variabler, was a lot of different things. Not all of it were super personal, but some of it was things that really moved me from whatever I had read or seen or heard. So that kind of helps too. If there are things I can go back to that I know used to move me, and there are things that I used to pick up over the years, and I can sit down and revisit those things and easily fall into that kind of headspace that you're talking
Yeah.
about. I know how to get there if I want to,
Yeah. Yeah. Um
if that makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah, that definitely makes sense. So do do you pretty much exclusively write in like a dark headspace, or I know for some projects like some of the music has to do with more of a depression kind of thing, and then other music can have to do with like more spiritual or religious sort of matters or things like, or sometimes it has to do with movies where, do you pretty exclusively focus on like the dark depressive stuff, or do you ever think about things from like a religious perspective or like a movie soundtrack kind of perspective or anything like that also?
Actually, I would say all of it, because I have been inspired by movies, even art, and but not everything has to be about depression. But when you hit this kind of dark state of mind because you saw or heard something that also happened to other people that moved you, that stuff you can't really, you go around in life and you say that I got a cold heart. I don't care what happens to other people because I've been through so much stuff myself. But that's not true in my case, at least.
Yeah,
And
same for me.
it's you know it doesn't even have to be people I know. It can be just total strangers. And when you see the kind of hardship that some people have been through, depending on what it is, maybe you can relate, or maybe just some kind of special feeling or emotion kind of washes over you that you didn't expect, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that happened a lot to me, especially for the previous album, the Mörkrets variabler. There was a lot of stuff going on there that you just didn't expect. So, and I like that when it happens, in a way.
Yeah.
I know it sounds weird, but it helps me be creative and to produce something. And I can't say that it's all bad.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, if you were just a regular person with a regular job and you just only thing that you wanted was to focus on the happiness of the world, then stuff like that could really mess with you. But if people, I think people like us that enjoy different kinds of dark art, and when it comes to movies or music or paintings or books or any of that kind of thing, I think a lot of us do look at that as more of a, you still feel the same amount of sadness that anybody else does, but you also see it as a sort of inspiration, and not just like, it's not ruining your day, it's opening up a different avenue for you to focus on with your day. It doesn't have to, I mean, it
Yep.
is bad, but it doesn't have to be ruinous, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a bottomless pit.
Yeah.
It can be like there's a pit, but there's a ladder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, but it happens, and it's something I can appreciate in the end, because it does do something with you that you can give something back in a way, and pour your inner self out in the way of music. And before I started with music, I never thought that I could, when I started with dark ambient, I didn't do any music before that, so I was like super surprised that I could sit down and actually make something that's musical in a way. I was like, I think about that a lot. That that wasn't something I ever thought I would do when I was younger.
Yeah, so while you're on that, while you're saying that, I noticed for the Traces of Nothingness, or actually I was looking through your different album descriptions earlier. Yeah, you had said that Arleaf of Northont had sort of you thanked him for showing you the way. I thought maybe you'd
Yeah,
like to talk a little bit about your relationship with him and where he was at with Dark Ambient when you met him, and how he helped you get into it. If you wouldn't mind talking about that a little bit.
yeah. We met when we were, early 20s. Um, I was mainly into metal, especially black metal back then, and do metal stuff like that, dark stuff, of
Hmm.
course. And so was him. He was the same, and Ketil as well from Taphophobia. They were always hanging together. And I had just recently started to look for music that I couldn't really place anywhere. I know that there were some bits and pieces here and there that I really liked, but I didn't really know it was a genre, the dark ambient genre. So I was searching for that, because I knew that there was something out there, but I didn't know what it was.
So at
And
that time, you weren't
I met
familiar with like Cold Meat Industry, for instance.
No, that was before
Okay.
that. So and I started picking up some songs here and there that some other friends played for me. Um, they were talking about it like it wasn't a genre, but it was this kind of strange music.
Yeah.
And I met Harleif and Ketil at some, I think it was a concert, black metal concert or something. And he had I don't remember, he had this dark ambient shirt, but I can't remember right now what kind of shirt it was, if it was August or something like that. And I remember that name, and well, I don't can't really specifically remember all the details, but I got to know him, and he had already started to make something dark ambient-ish. His early demos were sort of a mix between metal guitars and the dark ambient with Ketil,
Hmm.
And I have this demo lying around there. Actually, it's really raw stuff.
Nice.
And he also started to talk about there's all these kind of bands are out there, and it's called dark ambient. It's like it's actually quite interesting. So started to listen to you know old Yen Pox and Raison de Tre, all those kind of stuff. So that's how I got into it, and we became really good friends over the years. And I was kind of playing around with a keyboard that I had borrowed from a friend, and started to make something like dungeon synth style stuff, like Mortis,
Nice. Yeah.
uh, recording stuff on a tape. But he actually showed me a little bit about how to make dark ambient, and which software to use, and which kind of how to make a drone, if you can put it that way. So yeah, and immediately I just fell in love with the whole process of making it. So I just, he helped me a lot to be able to make that first debut album on A1 Records.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I'm with Abby
taking
here.
that
Abby
from
just said we need to hear Svartsinn dungeon synth. That's why I'm sitting here smiling. I'm imagining you making a dungeon synth album, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds cool. We're
and
all in
I'm
on
not
it.
gonna
Everybody's agreeing. We want to see you make some dungeon synth.
I'm not gonna reveal anything, but I've been thinking about making a Dungeon Synth
Yeah,
song for an upcoming album, but not an album.
yeah, that would be really cool.
So we'll back to that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there a lot of people make it cheesy, but if you do it right, Dungeon Synth can be pretty fucking cool. You know,
Absolutely.
particularly certain labels and like Mortis and a lot of those guys on like Devil Force that I listen to a lot. Like Thangora Dream, and there's a couple different ones that take it pretty seriously, and it's not just like some dumb keyboard music, but it takes you into a similarly dark place, but in a very different kind of way.
Yeah, as you can see on Per from Kamerhet, his Eindul
Oh
Medir
yeah, I
stuff,
love that stuff.
absolutely gorgeous, and it's like a modern take on Dungeon Synth without being, black metal rip-off kind of, evil mountain, something like that. So he did a really nice album, especially the first one. I like a lot.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I listen to those all the time. The Eindulmedir from Hypnagoga Press we're talking about right now. Yeah, yeah, that's what I thought because yeah, he was talking to me about that, and I'm like, do it. Like people are
Yeah,
going
it's
to
crazy
love
how
this.
he changed those genres up.
Yeah,
You know, dark ambient in that corner. There's ritual stuff in that corner, and suddenly it has this Dungeon Synth album.
yeah, yeah. He's one of the few people that's what I was mentioning to you the other day. There's very few dark ambient artists that put out albums that frequently that I just love all of them. So most of the time I recommend people staying in the way that you're doing it, where, you focus on an album for a couple of years and when it's ready, it's ready. But there's the occasional person that comes along that they can just keep rolling the shit out, and every single one of them is great. Noctilucan Joseph wants to know what you're drinking.
I want to make a toast to my friend Lars. He has a home brewery, so this is lager beer that he made at home. It's fantastic. So,
Excellent. I'm drinking Nicaraguan coffee.
whatever tickles your fancy.
Yes. Yeah, I quit drinking like 2 years ago. Not because I was an alcoholic or anything. I just got tired of getting headaches and hangovers. I can't
I
drink
don't
without
get either
waking
of
up with
those,
a
so I'm fine
hangover,
with
so
it.
I just quit.
I told you earlier that I was gonna try to watch the stream with questions and stuff, but the text is super small. I have no idea. So if you see any questions, let me
Oh,
know.
okay, yeah, for sure.
I'm trying, but it's like super small here.
Oh yeah, because you said you got it on your iPad there.
Yeah, yeah.
Failed Utopia asked which of those early projects were most inspiring to you. I think you mentioned Région d'Etre and Yen Pax. Were there any other projects that really stood out to you back when you were first getting started?
Yeah. Hi, Megan. Her name is Megan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Northant was the first one that really inspired me a lot. And Raison d'être, if I pronounce that right. And of course, there's like Yen Pox. I really like the early stuff. But there's, so many others that I can't really. In Slaughter Natives, the early two first albums were highly inspirational.
Nice.
And of course, August, probably one of the best albums ever, in my opinion, when it comes to making extremely dark, foreboding, ominous music. Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I was just reading through the
Okay.
comments and also listening to you at the same time,
Strange.
so
There was a strange sound coming on my ears, like, oh shit,
oh
something
no,
wrong.
no. As far as on my end,
Yeah,
everything's good. Um
yeah. I mean, August is incredibly creepy and well made for its time. It's still, I mean, it stood the test of time. Every time I put it on, it's like gives me the goosebumps.
yeah, absolutely. Pedro, is that Pedro of Word Clock? Either way,
But
Pedro asks, how did your collaboration with Amun start?
Yeah, that was actually on one of my events, Bra Svartaften evening. There was this a friend of mine from Prague. He was supposed to come here and play. His name is Jan. He has a band called Instinct Primal. I don't know if you know it.
I'm not
Jan
familiar
Krummel.
now.
He had some issues with fog on the airport, so he had to get this band from a local scene really quickly. So I talked to a friend of mine from Canada who moved to Trondheim. His name is Mathieu, and also a friend of Frederick, by the way. And he just took some friends from school. He's like in music school, some kind of from the university, and they just threw something together. They called the project something weird as microwavable cat.
Oh God.
So it's awful, but they are really talented guys. And Amund was one of those guys playing cello, and the other two guys were doing noise and sound stuff. And I was sitting there, and there was this special part of the music where Amund was shining with his cello playing, and a special kind of reverb that I was just sitting there and it's like, this sounds like Svartsinn, it has to be in Svartsinn. So I talked to him after the concert, and he was like, "Hell yeah!" So, and we started working together, and yeah, we definitely won't let him go easily. But he's super busy. He works with music for a living. He moved to Berlin,
Oh, okay.
which of course, in one way, makes it a lot easier for us because if I want to bring him on concerts, it's cheaper to travel from Berlin than two people traveling from
Yeah,
here.
that makes sense.
So yeah, he's brilliant, and he helps me with when I release an album. I say, can you send me some cello parts, or can you put some cello on this stuff? And everything he makes, it's just fits perfectly into the music.
Yeah, and for people that don't know, I should have sort of done a little introduction of who we were talking about there. Amund Alvested is his name, I believe, if I got that correctly or close enough at least. He had started out with you. He wasn't on the original version of the Elegies for the End track Vemad, but you started working with. He started doing the cello, like when you played that song live. He would come on live with you and do the cello for it. And then when you released your latest album, Morkets Variabler, sorry, I'm saying it probably terribly, but
You're butchering our Norwegian here.
yeah, so once you put that album out, you did a remake of the song that actually was the cello mix of it that included Amundal on it. So yeah, I mean, I love that track. And when I saw you in Philadelphia, you had him there playing with you, and it was just really, really cool. So
I was really sad that you had to witness that gig because my cracked computer, it actually died during the gig. Do you
yeah, I
remember that?
wasn't gonna mention it.
It never happens, but it happened on
Yeah,
that night,
it
and
shit happens, man.
I
Well, you know
haven't
what?
played.
The part of the set that I saw before it happened was really badass, and I'm sure the rest of the all like you said, that shit never happens. So it is what it is. I wasn't too, it would have been cool to see the rest of the set, but it wasn't the end of the world. You still got to play for I think probably a good 20 minutes before anything went wrong. So I enjoyed the
Yeah,
whole thing up until that point, and I know you were pretty pissed off afterward.
I can tell you now that this computer didn't, make it back to
I
Trondheim.
figured it didn't make it out of that venue.
Oh, it had to. I had a couple more gigs to play, but up in Providence and Montreal. But after the gig in Montreal, when you closed the lid on the laptop, I closed it really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gave me a little bit more problems during the tour, but it didn't really stop during the concert. So I'm glad about
Yeah,
that.
laptops are fucking scary, man. I have I'll get a desktop computer and it can last me for 15, 20 years. And I get a laptop computer and it's like, this thing could die any day. Even when it's brand new, they just seem like they're really clunky unless I don't know, unless you get like an Apple, but then you can't use any programs on the thing. So it's like,
Yeah. I've seen people say that they're not gonna play with a computer when they play live, so they try other things, but it's not fail safe either. I
Yeah.
mean, we were on tour with Karel Sissit once, and he had the backtrack on a DVD. And during a gig in Antwerp in Belgium, this DVD player was shit, and during the in the middle of the concert, it stopped. So he had the same problem, or they had the same problem, and yeah, he freaked out pretty roughly against the organizers, and a lot of bad words were said in Finnish.
Yeah, you wouldn't. I feel like that's not the kind of guy that you would want to get pissed off while he's in the middle of a set and had been drinking.
They tried to restart the DVD a couple of times, but it didn't work. So computer DVD, it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
If you should try something else.
Yeah, for sure. um maybe okay, so let's talk a little bit about The Borrowed World. I really love that album. That is one of my favorite dark ambient albums altogether. The combination
Oh, thanks.
of your basically I'll describe it a little bit and then you can go into more detail. So The Borrowed World is a vinyl release that was done. The first side is North Haunt, the second side is Svartsinn, and it is an album that is inspired by Cormac McCarthy's book The Road, which is one of my favorite books. And I actually found
Thanks.
out about the book because of that release. And then to make things even cooler, Simon Heath of Cryo Chamber did the cover art for it, which he generally doesn't do cover art that isn't released on that record label. So just it seemed like, one of the best books, two of the best artists, and one of the best, graphic designers as far as dark ambient albums go all came together on this release, and I just listened to this thing over and over and over again. So anything you'd like to say
Simon
further
did a
about
great
it?
job
Yeah.
there. Yeah, he's. I think it's maybe the third. We went for his third suggestion when he made the cover. Most of it is the same, but a little bit of tweaking here and there. And I gotta say, it hit the spot, if you know
Oh
what I
yeah.
mean. And yeah, he did a fantastic job on that. And he's always friendly, Simon. If you ask him to master something or make a cover or anything, he's just yeah, and he does it a really good job. And I spoken to him a couple of days ago about permission to talk about something later in the chat here. We'll get to that.
Cool. Sounds good. I don't know what you're going to talk about, so since I don't know what you're talking about, you make sure we don't forget.
Don't worry about it. It's something I need to talk about, so that's fine. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so bouncing back a little bit then. So the albums that were part of that trilogy started with Devouring Consciousness, and then of Darkness and Recreation, and then Traces of Nothingness. Am I right about that? Those were the three that were that original trilogy. And so
Yeah.
that was all part of what you were saying, that was sort of this depressive situation that happened that you don't really want to go into detail about. Was that what that whole trilogy was about?
Yeah, more or less. Not only the super depressive adolescent time, family issues, everything you can imagine piled into one short period of time, and also stuff that went on between, or with friends of mine, close friends that were also, it kind of rubs off on you when your closest friends are going through some heavy shit as
Yeah.
well. So yeah, and especially a lot of family stuff going on at the time. Some really heavy stuff. It's too crazy to talk about
Yeah,
that.
I'm not trying to drag you into talking about it. I just wanted to sort of get the timeline of how these different releases happen. So then after that you did Elegies for the End. So was was there anything that really changed at that point about the way that you were working on music, or was it just that you were sort of moving into new themes? And, you know, if so, like at that point in your career, what do you feel like had changed for you?
Yeah, I think the process changed a little bit because I didn't have that much uh, heavy issues moving forward, but so it took me longer to make stuff at least, and also I think I used a little bit more time on every track because I wanted to make it sound a little bit better, you know, production wise, sound wise, to have not to be like a polished, more polished artist, but I wanted to make a little bit more rich uh, sound image or whatever you want to call it. So I used more time and to build up the tracks a little bit differently, and you know, trying to be a little bit more of a to make better sounding stuff, if I can say it that way.
Yeah, well, I mean, from my perspective, I really love all of your, you know, those first three albums. I love all of them. But I think that there is something to be said about the way that you started to focus more on it, because I think it's safe for me to say that your Vema track, the first track on Elegies for the End, was that's pretty much universally, I think, everybody's favorite track of yours. And I mean I know, like, everybody, anybody that I talk to, anybody that picks a track from back in those first albums, like that's always the track people go for. So, and that happened on your fourth album, you know what I mean? So it's not like it was something that, you know, people found this one track on a first album and stuck with that, but like four albums in, people are like, holy shit, listen to this one. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think that that was a really good sign that you were making the right decision to be more focused like that.
Yeah, I used a lot of time focusing on that track, especially it's a really long one, and I wanted to make it. You know, Vemod means sadness in English, but it's more than that. It's about sadness is just a word, but Vemod is more than just a word. It's like for me, it was that this kind of feeling that every day you woke up and not, having this feeling that you're not doing what you're supposed to do, that there's some stuff that you're missing in your life, so to speak. Am I doing the right thing? Should I be doing something else? Am I feeling the right feelings? Am I, you know, every morning you wake up with this kind of feeling of loss that there's something not right. You're, you know, and it can't really put your finger on what the hell it is. So, and it was like that for quite a few years, and it had nothing to do with the music. It has to do with you as a person, what you want to do with your life, or what. Not like you want to be a president or want to be something important, but just am I am I satisfied with how things are right now? And it always had this feeling inside me when I was younger that I wasn't doing the right thing. I was supposed to do something else. So I spent a lot of time tweaking that track, especially. It's very, you know, long, drony, melodic track, and it's a lot of cut and glue to make it exactly like I wanted it to be.
Yeah, well, I'm personally really glad that you decided to bring it in yet again for your most recent album, because I mean,
Yeah,
if it wasn't, if people didn't love it enough already, once you added the cello in, that just made it even more badass. So
yeah.
it's like it had a
So
whole
it,
new life again then.
and it's another, you know, thumbs up for Almond's work, because when you have a track that you're so pleased with, and then you used so much time to make, and then you suddenly decide to let him try to put some cello on there,
Yeah,
and it just turned out
yeah, it
really
just
good,
works so
and
well.
that just it says a lot about how good he is to kind of adapt to my music and atmosphere, and I never thought that could be a possibility ever. So super appreciative that he is my in my life, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So Pedro has another good question here. I've already now told you what one of my favorite songs is of yours, and I've pretty much put that on everybody else too. So, but
Yeah.
Pedro asks, what would you personally consider to be the work that you are the most satisfied with?
Oh, that's that's the hardest question
Yeah.
ever. Um, there's always like one or two tracks per album that you're super happy with or satisfied, but the Mode is totally one of them. But the new album is, I think a lot of musicians do that. They look on their latest work and say that, hey, this
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 is
is
the
the one.
best one yet.
Yeah, but this Mörkets Variabler is the album that I spent most time working on because it was really, I needed to be exactly this way, and I was really proud of it in the whole sense. The whole album is just. I didn't think I had it in me to make something that I would be so happy with that I was with that album. But when I go back, I was really happy with the first one too. So
Yeah,
it's just a different way.
for me personally, like when that album was getting ready to release, I almost felt the same way. Like it had been so many years since you came out with the album before it, and I was like, as a reviewer, because I really loved your previous work, and I had met you, and I sort of consider you a friend, even though we haven't talked very much, but I do consider you a friend, and I was like, oh my god, I hope this album doesn't suck. You know what I mean? Like, it had been so many years, and it was like, and then it dropped, and the cover art was fucking awesome, and like every single track on the album are just dark as fuck, and like really, really well crafted. So, yeah, I mean, I totally appreciate what you're saying there. You were like, I don't know if I could do this, and then it really did come out really well. So yeah, I totally feel that. I love that album.
And I'm super happy with the Ensura Vincent's work on everything he has done for me has been on the spot.
Yeah,
It's like super perfect, and it's the exact atmosphere that I want. The right kind of dark layers on the cover, and I mean that Mörkets Variable cover he made when he sent it to me, I was like, I don't know what to say. It's like how can he make this on one of the first thing he sent to me after I told him what the album is about. What does Mörkets Variabler mean, and what is it about? And he sent me that, and I was like, oh, holy crap! He's amazing.
yeah,
He totally gets what I want, and yeah, it's the same with him and Amund. It's like this super crazy good team, and it works every time.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let me hop in here. Everybody's been dropping their favorite songs into chat. So Danica has September Dirge or Towards the Dark and Cold. And then John Eric says he is currently listening to Towards the Dark and Cold. Geist seconds that he loves September Dirge. And Embers Below Zero says that his favorite is Misanthropic Odyssey. And then Danica says that she also loves the original and the New Risen Throne mix of As a Black Stone Monument. So just to
Yeah,
throw in a couple of everybody else's favorites.
that's cool. Towards the Dark and Cold is actually one of those tracks that has been inspired by what one of my friends has gone through earlier in his life. It's super crazy shit, personal shit as well that I of course can't talk about since it's his life, but it's something that still we still talk about and think about a lot today. So it's some dark stuff as
Yeah.
well.
And then so I should also add, off of the latest album, my personal favorite is Doubt is Sin. Nietzsche's Lament. I really love that track.
Yeah, that's a it's I've dealt with Nietzsche stuff before in my music, and also quotes that I used on projections and stuff like that. So this time I really wanted to have a specific album about not album but a track that was uh, specifically about some stuff, Nietzsche stuff that I read.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which, when you came back to the question earlier about, if it's religious stuff that I'm into, but not specifically because I'm not really a religious person, but I do, go through religious stuff in life, talking about and reading about different kinds of faiths and religious stuff and spirituality and all that stuff. But it's not that I have this kind of religion myself, but it's really intriguing to read about other people and whatever they believe in or not believe in.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I've uh Donica. Yes, I've been saying it wrong this entire time then. Sorry, Donica.
Saying what?
No, I've been saying Danica and she's telling me to pronounce it Donica.
Yeah,
So I
I would
I
have
will
said.
remember to do that going forward. Thank you for and absolutely thank you for telling me because I like it's impossible to get people's names right if they don't sort of give you a little bit of guidance because yeah. A couple more people threw in their favorite tracks. We have Andrew that said Torchbearer is the one that he loves. Satan81 loves the track off of the Zdislav Bakinski album, tribute album. Failed Utopia says also Jan, right existence's architect. I probably didn't spell that right.
Existence architect.
Yeah, I'm not.
Repeat after me.
So I don't know very much about this project at all, but I really fucking love the album cover. Could you talk a little bit about your black metal project that was released a few years back, or re-released a few years back? Vandod?
Vandød, it's a black metal band we started in early 2000. Me and a friend of mine called Sam, and we got a couple other friends with us. We didn't really had any plans, but we just wanted to play black metal inspired by bands like Ulver and Dark Throne, Burzum, all that kind of old school stuff. And we just played in this basement with one of our friends, the drummer. He had a house, and in the basement there was like a rehearsal room. So we just jamming it out down there, and it started to sound really good, according to our ears anyway. And in 2004, we just had one of our friends come down to the rehearsal room and record a demo. He had this 4 track or whatever, and he recorded it. And the band kind of split up not so long after 2004. People went to different bands, and not everybody were getting along that well, you could say, mildly. But some of those guys are in other bands today, and I continued with Svartsinn. I was actually starting to take more and more live shows and stuff like that back then, and it kind of died off. And then we this demo came from the friend of ours that he had recorded it, and we got it on CD, and I just kept it in a drawer for some years. And then this guy asked me, Siberian label, Kesensa Records or whatever. He asked me if Svartsinn wanted to release something on his label, and I said, I have a label. I'm happy there, but if you're interested in some black metal stuff I have lying around. And he was like, yeah. And then he was very interested in that, and yeah, he wanted to release it, so he was released on CD. And of course, Densura made the cover again, and he made a CD, and there's like a box, a wooden box. I have it somewhere here, and there's like a strange box with the stickers, and there's this small vial with ash from Norway.
Ash from what?
Ash from
Oh,
Norway.
oh, okay.
I don't know. I don't know how he got the ash, but it's supposed to be from Norway. It's a small vial. Totally. funny stuff. And and the cover, as I said, was made by Densura. He remade it from. We didn't want to use Kittelsen. You know Kittelsen, Norwegian artist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we had an image from Kittelsen on our first demo, and we didn't want to use it because it's it's used a lot of times. So we just talked to Densura about making it some kind of troll that has become a stone or something on the top of the hill, and he made this fantastic cover again. So we were super happy about it.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. And did he do the logo for it as well?
No, that was the vocalist in the
Oh,
band.
okay. So that's the original logo from back when you. That's a
Yeah.
really cool logo with like the roots of the tree going down underneath of it. Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to skip away from our screen here, and I don't have the physical, so I recommend that you guys check that one out later on, or pull it up on a different window or something and have a look at that Van Dold cover art. That you can see all these releases that I'm talking about over. Jan has his own Bandcamp page, svartsinn.bandcamp.com, and you can have a look at all these releases over there on that. But yeah. Yeah, I didn't even realize that Densora had done the cover art. I knew that it was released on Kasenza through Infinite Fog because I also really love the Siberian artist Stutza that does his his releases. I don't know if he's doing anything with that specific project right now. He's got a couple different things like Black Wanderer, and then there's a third one. But yeah, Stutza is really one of my favorite sort of polar dark ambient projects, and he had done all of his releases through Kasenza, so I was familiar with that label because of him.
He has also Al Ghul, I think.
Yeah, Al
And
Ghul, yeah.
And to be honest, he actually played in my event as well. We brought him over. I mean, he was living in England, so he came here and he played half and half of his two Stutza and Al Ghul, I think.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so that's a space ambient is the Al Ghul, and then Stutza is more of like a polar dark ambient.
North inspired.
Northon inspired. Yeah, makes sense. It definitely makes sense.
Those two guys hit it really off when they were here. They were So he's a big fan of the Northons, and they really hit it off. And cool guy actually. Daniel, I think.
Yeah. He I follow him on Facebook, and he's always, I don't know what his job is, but he's always posting all sorts of beautiful pictures on there. He's always in all kinds of crazy places from the looks of it. But Daniel I can't remember his last name right now.
I don't remember either, but he's a really nice guy, and he came over, and we had this nice event and a good party as we usually do. So
nice. John wants to know what did you play in the band? Bass. Okay,
guitar.
Cool.
I never played bass guitar in my life, so I just I picked up the bass just to play in this band. So
when we had,
and
that
the vocalist, he taught me how to play bass.
Nice. That's how it always goes. When we had when I used to be in a band back in the early 2000s, like half of our bass players were like, they just were like, okay, I'll be the bass player, and they just like picked up a bass and started doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had one bass player that actually knew what he was doing. The rest of them just sort of learned along the way. Yeah, but that's cool that I did not realize that Daniel had played at one of your shows, so that would have been awesome to see, and I'm sure he was having a hell of a time there for that.
Well, it's the stuff you were saying reminded me, there's probably some more obscure bands that have played here that I can't remember on the top of my head, but there's quite a few over the years.
Do you know Sisselman? Has he played at any of your shows, or have you met him?
At least twice, yeah. We have met, and he came on short notice once when we had a cancellation. So yeah, he's a good guy. Thomas is really
Yeah,
cool.
I've never I don't think I've spoken with him at all. Maybe a couple texts back and forth on Facebook, but I really don't know him very much. Yeah, Kettle says, shout out to Tomas. Yeah, from my perspective, like, he seems like he's a bit older, and I'm assuming that he just started this project within like the last, like, what, 3 or 4 years now, and he's really fucking good at what he does, man. That shit is really good.
Yeah. I think he has been working around with sounds for a long time, but his Sysselman project is quite new. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he actually turned 50 last week or the week before.
Yeah,
I saw that he wrote on Facebook that he upgraded to 5.0. So I guess that
That's
means
cool. Yeah, Abby Gidya also says, so good. Yeah. Um, so, and then, Desideri Marginez says Deutsch Nepal played as well, right?
not on my event, but he has played here in Trondheim for Frode. Johan remembers Frode. He knows Frode very well, and he is the guy who organized the Deutsch Nepal concert.
That's cool. That's cool.
Unfortunately, it wasn't me, but yeah.
Yeah, well, at least it was there in your town, so I guess you got to see it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you guys, there's something in the water around there. You guys have a lot of good music that comes out of that little tiny area right there.
It's not the water, it's the
It's the
moonshine.
moonshine. Nice.
We all grew up with that, so it must be that.
That's cool. I guess, since we were talking about your black metal band, were you listening to black metal back when all of the crazy shit was going down with the genre in the early to mid 90s?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember watching the news back in the early 90s, and that was some crazy stuff. But really, it grabbed you when you're like 15, 16 years old and you see that kind of stuff. And, there's some rabbits or whatever killed on the churchyard or whatever. They sacrifice this, sacrifice that, church burnings. It was kind of crazy. But, I'm sort of glad that I am. I was in that age when it happened. Actually, it was kind of an interesting time.
Yeah. You mean you're glad that you were a teenager, that you were able to, are you saying you're glad that you were old enough to experience it, or you're glad that you weren't so old that you would have been closer to it potentially?
Yeah, kind of both. But it's really cool now. If this stuff would happen, I would probably wouldn't think it was that cool. It's like, oh, those fucking kids or whatever. But when you're that age yourself, it's very mesmerizing and intriguing at the time when you're into metal and these people were, doing this kind of evil stuff. And it was an intriguing time experiencing, and I'm glad that it happened when I was at a specific time in my life. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's so different because, like, I really wasn't into black metal back then, and growing up in the United States, I was listening to shit like Marilyn Manson, and I thought that was fucking edgy. I thought Marilyn Manson was fucking edgy, and you guys are over on the other side of the pond, and you got Dead doing the shit that he did, and you got fucking Varg doing the shit that he did, and it's like, holy fuck. Like, I found out about what was going on in black metal like 10 years later, and I'm like, these guys are fucking crazy. Like, Marilyn Manson isn't shit compared to these fucking lunatics. And, like, you know what I mean? Like, you're saying, like, man, they took that fucking darkness, like, really, really fucking seriously.
And there was this later in the 90s. There was this documentary. So they were interviewing these guys, and they were super serious, about the whole black metal thing. This was called Svarte Alvor, the black, what do you call it? Black seriousness, or it's super. They were serious about the whole dark art thing, and he was interviewed in Norwegian, and these guys were. It was something interesting to see back then. And it was a documentary about the whole church burnings and even about Varg and everything. So it's available on YouTube, I think, with the English subtitles for anybody who wants to see it.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Det sorte alvor.
Yeah, the whole thing's been kind of the reason I'm sort of bringing some of it up is because it's been sort of fresh in my head recently. Because I recently watched that Helvete documentary. I don't know if you've seen that one. It's like a 4-part documentary about black metal and focused pretty heavily on those guys. And then I'm currently reading this crazy fucking book right now by Martin Blad and Carolina Urbaniaks, and they've got a couple different sections in that book that they're discussing the gory details of Dead's death, and the fucked up shit that went on around that with the different guys sort of giving out parts of his skull and all that crazy shit. So yeah, I figured you're kind of close to the situation as far as geography goes, and you were in a black metal band, so I thought it would be worth sort of delving into that topic a little bit with you.
Well, 2001, 2002, when we started, the whole black metal thing was more or less about Dimmu Borgir and all the commercial bands. That's why we wanted to start the old school underground black metal band, because there weren't that many around at the
Well,
time.
that's why I didn't like it that much back then because, yeah, I mean, when I got into metal through like heavier metal. I got into it through stuff like Pantera and like, I went to Ozfests and saw like Dimmu Borgir and like Cradle of Filth and bands like that, and people didn't really take it seriously, to be honest with you. I mean, Americans weren't taking it seriously, and it in a way wasn't that serious. And then you look back at the stuff that came out years before that, and it's like, holy shit, like that's what it was. That was the real shit back then, and now people are really trying to step away from the symphonic and makeup and all that kind of stuff and focus more on that original, like you were saying, what you guys were trying to do. That's sort of the theme again, where it's like, let's focus on what it originally was.
Bad sound and evil screams.
Yeah, yeah, as bad of sound as possible and just really, really fucking dark lyrics.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
sounding like a dying cat. Yeah, so what are you working on now? You don't have to. I wouldn't want you to go into any like specific details, but do you have plans of?
But I have specific details, and that brings me into what I talked about earlier. That I had some stuff that I could talk about, and I asked Simon if I could release this info. So there is some stuff going on with a compilation that there's a series on Cryo Chamber called Tomb of that you might
Great
know.
series, yeah.
Yeah, and I have gathered some artists because I had this idea about Mesopotamian demons, and I always wanted to make a track about Pazuzu myself, and I never got around to it. So when I saw this Tomb of series on Cryo Chamber, I asked him if he could release Tomb of something, and he said, of course, and just get some artists around. And I talked to some people, and we have come to an agreement with on the title, and all the themes are related to demons in the Mesopotamian mythology, more or less. And my own track will, of course, be about Pazuzu, which I can say now.
Yeah, that's gonna be really
And
awesome.
there's some really nice artists participating on it, and we decided to call it Tomb of Primordials.
Tomb of Primordials.
Yeah.
As Satan 81 says, "Oh my God, inject that into my veins."
Well, we can work on that.
Yeah.
And we have some nice artists on it as well, and there is Desideri Marginis is on it.
Awesome.
New Risen Throne.
Nice.
Dahlia's Tear.
Nice.
Inner Vision Laboratory.
Nice. That, yeah.
Did I forget someone? Did I forget someone? There's one more. Oh,
Oh,
Svartsinn. Oh,
yes.
yeah. He's
Yeah,
on
that's
there.
gonna be fucking awesome, man. I
There's one more I forgot. Scotty,
Scotty.
you
Oh,
know
hell
him?
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I definitely know him.
Yeah, he's amazing, and he hasn't been releasing that much, and I wanted to ask him to be a part of this. And also there are some guests. New Risen Throne has a guest. I'm not gonna reveal that, and also there might be a guest on my track, but I'm not gonna reveal that quite yet. So you have to stick around for that.
That's really exciting. That's gonna be an awesome album. I love that Tomb series because Simon's a bit more, I guess I would say, lenient with who's involved in it because what you know, for the most part, when it comes to like the Lovecraft related releases, it's more or less like the Cryo Chamber family that's involved in those releases. Like people that have already, except for you, it's always like everybody that's the Cryo Chamber artists and then you. Well, as far
Yeah.
as the Lovecraft albums go, but then when it comes to like the Tomb series, there's often more artists that are known throughout the genre but have never released an album on Cryo Chamber necessarily. So this album, I mean, that sounds like it's going to be the biggest one yet in that series because I mean every single one of those artists, like you guys are sort of the veterans of the genre that you just named off there.
Yeah. I have to shout out to Simon because early on when he started Cryo Chamber, he approached me and asked if I wanted to release something on the label, one of the early ones. So just me and being slow, and I'm also happy to release albums on Cyclic Law. So I told him that I can be a part of these kind of collaborations, like the Cthulhu Lovecraft stuff, and also compilation stuff, and maybe to work some with him or some other guy on the label. No problems. So just been slow on my part. I was a part of the early Lovecraft ones, but then I just they're so productive over there, and I couldn't keep up.
Yeah, it's
But now I have a goal to release this two more primordials, and probably be released next year.
yeah, that's awesome. That's going to be a lot of fun. Satan81 says, I'm a huge fan of Herbst Nine's Usumgal Kalama and Fragmentary, so I can't wait for this new compilation. Yeah, me too, man. Usumgal Kalama is that's a
Yeah.
fucking awesome album.
Funny he should mention Herbs Noin because they were invited to join this compilation, but they're not active at the moment, so they had to step down.
Yeah. Yeah, that's too bad. They haven't released anything in quite a while, but yeah, they're a great project.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're gonna get together anymore, but I'm of course don't hold me to it. But that's the kind of feeling I get from talking to the guy, one of the guys at least. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Sad, but that's life, I guess.
Yeah, so what uh what is your history with the Sumerian gods? Or do you just sort of have an interest in this, or have you researched it very much, or are you a worshiper, or where do you fall in that sort of category?
It's started with The Exorcist. It's as simple as that, really. So the movie, and always been kind of interested in mythology, be it Norse or Sumerian or Greek or whatever. It's always been this intriguing thing to see how many things are comparable, and so that's always been a lot more interesting than more of the other r- religions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, I agree. I I find I sort of fell into learning about these things from a history perspective because I went to school for archaeology and you know the Sumerians are sort of in a way kind of the beginning of everything when it comes to movements around the sea and religion and just and language. The Sumer, they just seemed like they brought like so many things forward for human civilization as a whole. So I was
Yeah.
interested in them from an archaeology perspective initially, and then I became more interested through the religious aspects, and they are a very interesting and deep people that I think people should focus more on because there's a lot to learn there. A lot of interesting topics fall under the Sumerian heading.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so cool to see how many the other religions around the world that has so many similarities to the that kind of
Hmm.
religion. So even the Norse one, there's a lot of similarities of the deities and demons and all that stuff. It's just different names and all that stuff.
Yeah, it seems like almost everything has more or less come from the Sumerians and the Hindus. It's like pretty
Yeah,
much everything around the entire planet is some sort of a variation off of those two frameworks.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm
Really cool
looking
stuff.
through some more of the comments here. John,
Yeah, let me see if you see any questions that we missed.
yeah, if anybody has any questions, go ahead and throw them in there. Let's see. Yeah, everybody's putting out their love for Herps 9. I think I'm saying that wrong. Somebody told me how to say it correctly previously, and then I forgot. I think they said that the 9 is supposed to be like, said in some other language or something.
Yeah, it's German. Herbst neun. Herbst is autumn, I think. And neun is the number nine, of course. Neun, Herbst neun is what I've heard, but I'm not sure if
Yeah, close enough.
that's true or not.
Geist says, "Can we get the recipe for the whale stew?" I'm not. I'm not familiar with what he's talking about.
He was visiting me in Trondheim a few years ago. So yeah, I served him my specialty, which is whale stew, which I used to serve to all the people that came to my events when I was cooking and stuff. I made this special dish that I learned from my mother, and yeah, that's it used to be quite popular, but it's harder to get the right kind of meat these days because the guy I used to buy it from, he is not working on a whaling ship anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say, where the heck do you get whale from? So,
It's a thing in Norway. We still hunt one specific type of whale, which is not on the red list or anything. It's actually growing in numbers, and we're allowed to hunt this one specific whale. So yeah, it's fantastic meat and makes a really good stew.
that sounds awesome. I would definitely be interested in trying some whale stew. But so, when was the
Yeah,
last time that you personally were able to eat it?
I would say maybe 4 years
Oh
ago,
wow, yeah, that's been a while.
3 or 4 years ago. Yeah, but there's still it's possible to get the meat in the supermarkets, but I would prefer to get it straight from the boat.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, so that was something I was going to ask you to talk about a little bit since you just mentioned that. We were talking in private a little bit the other day about sort of the difference between trophy hunting and sustenance hunting. Maybe
Yeah.
just talk a little bit about what you like to go out and do on your free time when it comes to going into nature because you share a lot of really nice nature pics, and so just maybe kind of take us through a day in the wilderness with Jan.
Yeah, I'm quite fortunate to live 50 meters from the fjord here, straight this way. I can see it from my window here, and if I walk 15 minutes up the hill from where I live, I have the forests and the lakes. So I often go there, and if it's a winter, you can go skiing there, and if it's spring or summer, you can go fishing for trout and char, Arctic char. Some of the lakes has that, and And I also have a cabin. If you drive from Trondheim a little bit south, there's a mountain there, and I have a cabin there. And I'm, you know, there's fantastic nature there. You can go out either picking mushrooms or berries, and there's lakes. And for people who have permission, you can go hunting. And that we were talking about the other day that there are so many people who just go for the sport and for the trophy and like, oh look, I shot a giraffe. Fantastic, not
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, nobody's impressed by that.
nobody is
I
impressed by
was
that. And then
I
then
was intuitively not impressed by it when I was like 10 years old dealing with like what I just call the stupid rednecks around my town in West Virginia. And yeah, I have no love for those kinds of people that are just doing things to show off and brag about, oh, I took down this big of an animal. And now I think there's a lot to be said about sustenance hunting, where you don't go, if you want to eat some meat, don't go to the grocery store and buy it, go out and get it yourself, and that's awesome. And it's better for the animals too. Like, if you take down an animal, it was living its best life right up until the second that it died, and now it's feeding you within hours or days, as opposed to something that was basically a slave for its entire existence and lived a either boring or horrible or both life, just waiting to feed humans months after it was killed, and it's like, in every way, I think going out and hunting for your own meal is just a really, really wonderful way of dealing with nature.
yeah, it's a great feeling too that you can just go. Like I told you the other day, I wasn't really hungry. I didn't have anything to do, so I just took my fishing rod, went down to the fjord, and had this amazing fight with this mackerel fish. It's the biggest mackerel I ever saw.
That's awesome.
And it just became a fantastic dinner. And then it didn't even take me 40 minutes to take it before I had to eat it. So it's like that makes you feel a lot better than going down in the freezer or going to a supermarket or whatever. So that's a good
Yeah,
thing.
so you mentioned that you live there on a fjord, and for people that may not know, probably everybody here does know, but fjords are basically chunks of land that are cut out from a receding glacier. So, basically that means that where your house is right now, I guess there used to be some mountainous glacier that sat over top of that land. I wonder if are there any glaciers near where you live still, or are they all gone? They're,
No, not in this part of Norway.
yeah.
No.
So how far do you have to drive north? Like, I'm assuming you just have to go north for a couple of hours before you can get to any.
Oh no, you can go south too, but I'm not exactly sure how far, but you can go south to. Also, you have a lot of tall mountains in the south of Norway as well. But yeah, there are some really nice ones some hours north. But I haven't actually been to any glaciers, so shame on me.
Yeah, yeah, man, you're too close. You gotta go. You gotta go check them out, if for nothing else, so that you can send me some pictures on Facebook and say I'm at a fucking glacier. Have a look at this thing.
Yeah. I have to do that then. Now there's a challenge there.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. Yeah, I always appreciate that. Jan's always sending me pictures of wherever he is. That's a beautiful place, and I'm just like, thank you. I'm still sitting here at my apartment, but no, seriously, I do enjoy getting those pictures. So you can just keep doing that.
It's slightly better than your view. I heard that your view is another brick wall.
Yes,
So
yes, I have a brick wall on the other side of my wall. Let's see. What are
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I have a lot of it's not too bad. It's all right around here. Um Geist is mentioning cloudberries. Do you collect are you near cloudberries that you can collect?
In my cabin area, I have a lot of cloudberries. Fantastic stuff, but it's not for everyone, I guess. It has this really special kind of flavor, and they have this really hard seeds in them, so you have to, boil them up and either, of course, you can eat them without doing that, but you have to handle all the seeds. We use it specifically for Christmas dinners or desserts when you put them together with whipped cream. It's amazing.
Yeah, that
But you have to try it to really understand.
I've got a jar of cloudberries a couple of times from IKEA. That's
Really
yeah. We have
nice.
an IKEA like 20 minutes away from us, so I can go into their food section there, and there are a couple of different a couple different desserts that I tried while I was in Sweden that I can get there, and yeah, they've got like cloudberry jam. So I don't know how
Mm.
tasty it is in comparison to what you guys have, but I assume it's not too horrible in comparison.
If you can go on the mountain and pick them up and just put them in your mouth, you can't beat
Yeah,
that.
that sounds amazing. Yeah, somebody Kit says they will travel for cloudberries. Totally. uh,
Last weekend from on Sunday, I was in my cabin. I just take a day trip, and I remember there's a really small patch of land, and half an hour walk from my cabin that the cloudberries they mature later at this specific spot. So most of the other patches of mountains are picked clean already, but this specific spot there's nobody else going to, so I could go there and pick up like a 1 liter or something, and of course pick mushrooms on the way back.
yeah, that sounds awesome. So you don't have to worry too much about like the deer or reindeer or whatever there may be out there that are eating all of them.
No, actually, it seems like most animals stay away from cloudberries for some reason. They eat blueberries, but it seems like they're staying clear of the cloudberries for some reason.
Yeah, that's awesome. So with your cabin, is that something that you bought for yourself? Did you build it? Did somebody in your family build it, or did you just buy it? Or
I was lucky to be able to buy it myself. I just integrated it as a part of the loan from my house. So you just put more mortgage on your house and you buy a cabin because the value increases, on your house.
yeah, that's awesome.
So I was lucky that in Norway, if you have a house, you own something, and it's crazy how the value goes up every year.
Yeah, well, the more that
It's
global warming happens, the more people are going to be wanting to go to places like that. That's my way of looking at it.
Yeah, I'm glad I have something. If the global warming continues, and
You guys have a little bit of a
my
buffer zone.
house my house is so close to the fjord, so I'm glad I have a mountain to escape to.
Yeah. Do you get like storms that come in off of the fjord very much?
It's not like it's super often, but they're kind of bad when they happen. Yeah, and especially around winter. Early winter, December, awful month.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get this crazy winter storms down here. Can't see like a meter in front of you with this kind of hail and snow mixed together. It's really
Yeah, that
crazy.
sounds badass to me. There's not nearly enough snow here where I live, so I'm sure it gets old for you, but for me it's like, oh man, that's what I want. Hail that
I,
I
I
can't
I
see.
really love a good winter, but I love every season equally. Maybe not like the worst warm summer, but the older I get, the more I enjoy the summer as well.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Strange, strange. I used to hate summer.
Has it been that hot? Has it been very hot there for you this summer?
This summer has been quite
Yeah.
warm. It's I can't remember a more sunny, warm summer than this
Yeah,
one.
it seems like it's been pretty intense everywhere. I know like people up in Canada and I know talking to Power up there in Sweden, like it's just fucking crazy for everybody that's not used to this kind of weather. I'm used to it, but I mean,
Yeah.
when it goes up far into the north, people are like, "What the fuck is this?"
Back in the day, they used to say that summer in Trondheim, that's the best day of the year.
Yeah,
So it used to be like one day of summer, but of course it's exaggerated. But still kind of funny.
So have you thought about crafting a Svartsinn beer?
Yeah, I have been thinking about that a lot, and now I have a couple of friends that's brewing, so maybe they can help me out with that.
What kind of beers would you like to make if you were able to make your own?
Would it have to be a dark beer,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it would have to be dark as fuck.
It's gonna be no. I have a soft spot for stout, like a pastry stout or some dark imperial stout, strong beer.
Yeah, yeah, I love the milk stouts and the Rasputin
Yeah,
Imperial Stout. I really like that one. That's sort of a internationally known Imperial Stout, I think.
yeah, it's fantastic stuff.
Yeah,
We'll see. Maybe one day I'll take up brewing myself,
traces
but
of
I just have
hoppiness.
to. I'm taking notes here.
Yeah,
That's a good
yeah,
one.
that
Who
was
said that?
Satan 81. If yeah,
Of course, of course.
yeah, that was a good
Keep
one.
him coming. Keep him
He's writing
coming.
that one down. That was a good one. Yeah, um, yeah, I gotta get.
I saw this black. I saw this black metal beer the other day. It was Serviciam is a Norwegian brewery. They have this really cool beer cans, and there was this Abbath looking figure, Abbath from Immortal, and the beer was called Sons of Northern Dankness.
Nice.
Like total black metal beer. It's quite good, but they're taking the wordplay there.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good one. I remember I was writing for somebody. I don't remember the specifics of it, but basically I used the word dank, and they were like, "I think you meant dark," and I'm like, "No, I meant dank." I love that word.
Sons of Northern Dankness.
I love that word in its many connotations.
So there's a beer name for you. This is
Yes, this
dankness.
is dankness. Yeah, there you go. That is a good one. Yeah. Yeah, if you yeah, I don't know. I think that would be really cool. Like you could have like, have it at your different festivals that you do, and I just think I think that would be really it would really make a lot of sense for you to do some beers. So I think people would love that. Everybody knows about your love for beer, and
Yeah.
so yeah, I think that would be cool. What's Johan says Peter of Région d'Etre makes his own beer and every year from his own hops, which is quite delicious. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, yeah. That's cool. I would really like to try his beers.
Yeah, so would I.
Absolutely.
Danica says the Pacific Northwest got desert heat this year. 3 record-setting days in a row. Hundreds of people were killed. Yeah, that's what I was talking about, and I said her name wrong again. Sorry, Danica. It'll take me a few tries to remember it. You'll have to slap me around if I get it wrong. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, well, I think we're getting pretty close to wrapping things up here. If anybody else has any more burning questions in chat, I'll give you guys a couple of minutes to throw them out there if you'd like to.
Questions.
Yeah.
Let's get some questions.
Um, what have you been watching, or have you watched or read anything recently that you've been enjoying enough to mention talking about?
I haven't really. Yeah, I since the I'm when it comes to reading, I just love to read sci-fi stuff actually. So I've been catching up on the Expanse stuff. If you know the TV series called Expanse,
Mm,
they come from books originally.
no, I'm not familiar. I am not very much in the know when it comes to sci-fi.
Yeah. And I can thank Mr. Geist for that. He's in the chat here somewhere.
Nice. Yeah, he seems like a cool dude.
Josh, Josh is cool dude. Yeah, he was at the gig in New York when we were on the tour. We met him outside our hostel or hotel, what you can call it.
Yeah,
That's how I got to know know him.
Yeah,
So
we don't have hostels here in America. I don't, for whatever reason, they just don't exist here. I don't know. I
yeah,
really enjoy, like,
it seemed like a hostel.
yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, there's things like hostels, but maybe in New York. I mean, it might be different in New York City, but I know, like, when I went to Rome, I was like, I'm staying at a hostel because there aren't any fucking hostels in the United States, and I'm gonna go to a hostel. So that was kind of crazy.
Yeah. Maybe Josh remembers because he met us just outside the entrance. I think it was called a hostel, but
Yeah,
I don't
no,
know.
you're probably
Well,
there probably are hostels in New York City. There probably are in some of the other big cities, but it's just not as frequent, I guess. But yeah, Josh just said the hostel was a bunch of dark ambient folks and models. It was kind of weird. Yeah, that does sound like a weird combination.
yep.
Yeah, there were yeah, it was just a bunch of fucking college kids where I was at in Rome. Everybody was just making a bunch of fucking noise and just drunk, and I guess that's how it goes, but my bed was like $11 for that night, so I wasn't complaining.
That's cheap. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Other than that, when it comes to movies and series, I'm just into this kind of mood lately where I'm rewatching old 80s, 70s, and 80s stuff. So I haven't really seen a lot of new fantastic movies lately.
Yeah,
There's one TV series that I was laughing from the start to beginning, and it's about some. Normally, I don't like to laugh about stuff that I really love, and in this case, it's about vampires because I always love vampire stuff and vampire werewolf movies. If it's serious and it's done right, I'm not talking about Twilight and this kind of crap,
yeah.
Well, there is a TV series called What We Do in the Shadows, and it's like a parody of vampires that are being followed around by people with a camera, like a documentary stuff. And I laughed from start to beginning, and I'm really looking forward to the next season.
Yeah, it's
So,
cool. I just pulled that up on my computer. I'm gonna check that out too.
yeah. The movie was good too, but the series was much better, and it's still going. So fantastic, much better actors and all that stuff.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. Um
Mm.
yeah, I haven't found a whole lot of vampire stuff that I like. I mentioned like the Fearless Vampire Killers the other night. That shit's badass.
Yeah,
But that's more of a
Polanski
almost
movie.
like a comedy.
Yeah, it is definitely. I see it as a comedy, but it's really cool. I've seen that maybe 5 times.
Yeah,
A great Polanski movie.
yeah, that's about where I'm at. Yeah, I had you were mentioning 80s movies. I had like a Dario Argento week last, I guess like a week or two ago. I was watching all kinds of his movies. And then I have my
I,
lighting that I have here over top of me. I have like different light filters. So I put in like one of them was blue and the other one was red. And I'm sitting here watching Dario
yeah,
Argento movies with all these fucking neon colors on my walls. I'm like, this is how to do it.
yeah. I don't think it's a big surprise to people who have seen me live that I'm a big fan of the Argento. And I was playing a concert in Tel Aviv in Israel, right? And the lighting guy there, he I told him that I was playing the video
Mhm.
background, which was Dario Argento movie, and he's like, "Oh, that's really cool. Which movie and everything, right?" And we managed to make the lighting red and green with a dash of blue.
Hell yeah, that's cool.
Okay, yeah, that was fantastic. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. That sounds like a pretty cool place. What are some of the other interesting places that you've done concerts?
Oh, there's a lot. I played in the Faroe Islands. That was
Oh
nice.
shit, that's a beautiful beautiful place.
Yeah, it's this annual festival. It's called the G Festival. It's quite a big festival. There was huge names, but I played in this kind of concrete small venue, and played in between the metal bands. I think I played like 5 times in that night. I played between all the metal bands. That was
Yeah,
nice, and but people keep talking, because they think it's some kind of a break time music between the concert. They don't know it's a concert between the concerts. That's the thing about playing in festivals sometimes.
Yeah, I could see that being a problem. I guess I don't know. I think you just have to have a different. I personally think that that should happen way more often, and I also don't think there's any way to avoid what you're saying there. But I also think that's okay. Like I think that you just have to set a different standard for your expectations for the crowd, and you just have to know in your heart that these people are getting the best interlude music that they could possibly be getting. You know, you would want them to see it as like, this is part of the concert, this is the dark ambient section, but I think you just have to look at it like they usually just get some shit that some dumbass DJ is playing on the radio that has nothing to do with the other bands that night. And for you just have to have like take solace in knowing that like subconsciously they are getting the best fucking dark ambient interlude that they possibly could get, and just like take it at that, because I could imagine how that would be, sort of shitty where everybody's just talking and just more or less ignoring what you're doing, but subconsciously that shit's badass even for those people that are talking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it comes to other places I've played, wow, it's beginning to be quite a bit. And I played far in the Ural district of Russia, in Yekaterinburg and Perm is far, far, far in the heart of Russia. That was nice. Lots of cool people. I also play with Johan in Rostov in Russia. That was nice. Oh, they're always friendly with their vodka.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, the Russians love sharing their
interesting
vodka.
stuff. Yeah, it's been a lot. I can't complain about that. It's been amazing how many places I have been visiting over the years, and even in Norway, there's a couple of nice venues like that festival Midgardsblot.
Yeah.
I have been. I was playing there as the first dark ambient artist. Played in this Gildehall, this reconstructed Gildehall from the Viking Age. It's like a Viking hotspot there. A lot of burial mounds and everything. So it's a festival placed exactly by near that area where all the burial mounds and Viking sites. A lot of digging around for Viking ships and graves in this area. It's a really nice festival that goes every year.
Yeah, I love checking that thing out. I of course I haven't been to it, but yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. It looks like they
Yeah, it's
really
good.
well put together.
Yeah, it's a good mix of folk, Viking metal, Viking folk music, and also dark ambient in the last couple of years, which I've been fortunate to be the curator of that stage.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's nice.
When you said you played out in the middle of Russia. How did you get out to where you were playing there?
I was asking back in the day, there was this festival going there. I forgot the name. I'm trying to remember it, but it slipped my mind. But there's Indie State Distribution. Do you know this name? There's a distribution label in Russia, and those guys used to organize a festival in Moscow. And I contacted him, and he contacted me maybe like a year after, and he said that this festival is not active anymore, but he wanted to bring me and Northhound and Kamarhe together to Russia. And we were at the airport, me and Halef, when we got a message from Per that he had a fever and he had to cancel the whole tour. But me and Halef, we went together on the first tour. So that was great. We played, I think, 4 or 5 cities in Russia.
So,
And then a couple of years later, the same guys brought us back. It was me and Johan or Destiny Guinness together.
nice. Yeah, that probably
But
was.
really nice.
Yeah, I was just wondering if it was like, because I know some places in Russia are sort of hard to get to, so it's like you got to take a train like halfway across the continent, and then you've got to get on a plane, and
Yeah. Yeah, like that. It was actually quite simple. We took the plane to one of the Baltic countries
Okay.
first, probably around Riga,
Hmm.
and then we just landed in Moscow. And from there, there's trains, and sometimes we took the plane. A very interesting train ride actually from Moscow to St. Petersburg. It was in the middle of the winter in January. It was like -20
Oh, wow.
outside, and the train was probably 40 degrees
Oh my
inside.
God.
It's like totally impossible to sleep on that train ride over there.
Yeah, that sounds insane. And Johan says, and also Lamia Vox.
Yeah, we met. That's the first time we met her when we played in St. Petersburg. Fantastic woman.
Yeah, yeah, her.
She's a really close friend, and we have been in contact for all those years after that. So
Yeah, Donica says, I loved watching the Svartsinn living room concert last year. Any more plans for live streamed performances?
I had a plan to do that, but now I'm actually looking more forward to starting to play live, you
Yeah.
know. So we'll see if something happens during the autumn here. I might do another one, but not promising anything at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, Johan says we didn't sleep as far as I recall. We had whiskey in the train bar all night.
Yeah, that's right.
John Eric says, isn't there a metal bar called Hell somewhere in Norway?
Metal bar called
Yeah,
Hell, not that I
yeah,
know of,
yeah. I don't.
but we have a place maybe half an hour from Trondheim, a little bit north. That's called Hell.
Hmm.
Not even kidding. People live there. It's called Hell. I'm not
Yeah, I
kidding.
think I've heard of that place.
Yeah,
We have Intercourse here in the United States. That's our cool town name.
that's cool enough.
Yeah. There might be a Hell here as well, but I don't remember. I think I've heard of the one up there in Norway though. Yeah, Satan81 says he's had his picture taken in Hell. And Kettle says it's a hell of a place.
Yeah.
That's great.
Ta-da-tish.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. Yeah, I guess I think we'll probably go ahead and wrap things up here unless you had anything else that I haven't mentioned that you'd like to talk about or anything else there on your mind.
Can't really. I think when I managed to say a little bit about what's coming. So I guess that's it. I can't really recall if there's anything else I had in mind. So
Cool. Yeah, yeah. Well, again, man, thank you so much for coming on here and doing this tonight. It's been a lot of fun. It's always fun talking to you. It's nice to do it actually live and, actually get to see each other while
just
we're.
wanted
Oh
to
yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, yeah. Just
show
yeah.
this off.
Show off.
This is the
Show off
slip.
whatever you've got there. That people need to pick some of that shit up. That's a.
This is a dust mat or slip mat for record players, and I know this is my last one, but Frederick has more on the Cyclic Law merchandise, so that's a really cool thing to have, I think.
Yeah, and do you have any copies there of that recent reissue that you'd like to show off by chance?
Not
Not near you.
near
That's
enough,
okay.
but you already showed it on pictures though on the Cyclic Law spotlight, so it's I have very few left. So if people want that, they have to go to the Bandcamp page and get it because Cyclic Law is sold out already.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Geist says, "How did I miss the slip mat coming out?" Yeah, that shit's badass, man. That's what I was telling Jan the other day. I saw that on the Cyclical All site, and I was like, "Holy shit, that's fucking cool." People should do that more often. I think that's a really cool idea, and I'm glad you put one together. And you said that it was Densora that did the artwork for that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
that
true.
shit looks badass. Yeah,
And Cyclic Law also made one. I asked him if he wanted to make one for me, and he also did one with the Cyclic Law logo. So both are available on his homepage.
Yeah, see, I didn't notice the one with the Cyclic Law logo, so that's cool. I saw yours, and I was like, that's fucking awesome. So
Much cooler.
yeah, for sure, for sure, much cooler. But yeah, thank you for coming on here. Thanks to everybody for all the kind words that they're dropping there in chat. I really appreciate all of you guys. I
Absolutely.
know Jan appreciates all of you guys. We've pretty much had a steady
Definitely.
30-ish people here watching, so that's yeah,
Wow,
that's
cool.
real cool. That's nice. Yeah, absolutely, Donica. We're gonna keep doing this. Any musicians that have been in chat here that want to hop on in the future, just hit me up and we can definitely do that because I'm looking to have conversations with all you guys. So,
And you should try getting one of those label bosses on too.
yeah.
One of them, or all of them.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't know.
working on it. The label owners are a bit quieter, but I think the next I think we're next up. Sonologist here in chat, he runs Unexplained Sounds and Eighth Tower, and now he's also running Reverse Alignment. So he's actually going to be coming on here next Saturday. So that'll be the next interview that's coming up, and yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to talking to him. Abby, you guys have to, if you guys want to see Simon on here, you guys are going to have to harass Simon because I've already asked him and he says that he doesn't have a webcam and I don't think he's interested in getting one. So you guys just have to harass Simon if you want to see him come on here. I've done all I can.
Just send him a webcam.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah, he's so busy. Yeah. He's doing God's work. Putting out a million fucking albums that are all high quality. So
And by God you mean Cthulhu, of
yes,
course.
yes, yeah. The great old God. We're not talking about Jehovah here. We're talking about fucking Cthulhu and Azathoth, the laughing crazy god of the deep space. So yeah, yeah. Cool. All right. Well, yeah. We'll go ahead and wrap it up here, man. So, yeah. Thanks again for this. Thank you all to everybody yet once again. And
I'll go through the video when you upload it so I can watch all the text and comments and maybe get back to some people if there were questions that we missed. I'll try to read everything over.
yeah, cool. One more thing here. John says, was the chat earlier about Pazuzu the next H.P. Lovecraft release? No, it's not. It's the next the next Tomb series album on Cryo Chamber. Like they've done the Tomb of Seers, and what's this one called again, Jan?
Tomb of
Tomb of
Primordials.
Primordials. So yeah, that's gonna be him and some more really badass artists that yeah, that's gonna be a really big one. So yeah, pretty sure Simon is an elder god. I think we can all agree on that.
Definitely.
All right, guys. Thank you all so much. Have a good night.
All right. Bye.